start streaming, and I think that's working. Let's see. Potential spam. All right, let's see if this is going to work. We've got a phone here from Mike that seemed like it would be a good candidate to do on a live stream, and if it turns into an interesting case, then I might take the live stream later on and edit it down to a video. So if you don't feel like watching live, then come back and maybe this will be a short video. And let's jump in and see what's going on with Mike's iPhone XS. So the note is why I picked this one to do a video. It says that Mike lost his phone in a pond when he jumped in to save his kid. Can you imagine? So he says he jumped in to save one of my kids and then drained the pond 1 year later and recovered the phone. So he says the phone was in the water for approximately 8 to 9 months. I'm not sure that math adds up. So 8, 9 months, maybe it was a year, I don't know. So it sounds like, I want to know how you drain a pond. Do you know how to do that, Jean? How would you drain a pond? Does it like just dry up? I don't know. Do you guys know how to drain a pond on chat? I have no idea how to do that. But that's pretty crazy. Like, I'd like to see the bottom of a drained pond, like what's in there. Well, what was in Mike's pond was, here's his phone that he found like a year later, and he sent it in for data recovery. So let's see what we can find. Let's open it up. So let's see if we can grab some kind of a camera. All right, so I've taken out the pentalobes and then I stopped because there's so much rust in here. Look at this. So let's see. This is Rust City. Woof. So that doesn't bode well. Although, you know, maybe it's just superficial. You know, maybe the amazing waterproofing here on the iPhone XS has completely protected it and the board is fine, in which case this will be a short, easy stream. So let's find out. I haven't done a stream for a long time. I got COVID again. That was fun. But I've recovered and I'm back. I went on a trip. I went to Rome, which is super fun. And now I'm back. We just finished our March practical board repair school. Super fun. We had 8 guys in here. And they just left, so now I'm lonely. And it's time to get back to live streaming. So a lot of superficial damage on this and a lot of rust. I think these screws might give me trouble getting these out, but we'll see if we can get them. All right. What have you been up to on chat? What kinds of things have been going on? What have I missed in the repair world while I've been out? Rome. Yes, Rome was truly amazing. It was really fun. One of my favorite things to do in Rome was to get the little bird scooters. Do you know those in cities? The little scooters that you can just grab on an app, and you can take those scooters and go to there's like this big street that's closed to vehicle traffic, or it's closed to cars, that's right in front of the Vatican. So it's right in front of St. Peter's Basilica, and you can just jump on a bird and ride up and down for cheap. And I think that was like one of the most fun things that we did. It was a lot of fun, a lot of walking, saw a lot of cats. All right, let's keep on going on this. But it's so funny because the pandemic started in Italy, and we had originally had a trip planned to Italy for back in March 2020, and then it was like, nope, Italy is closed due to COVID. And so we couldn't go because like the risk of getting COVID, or, you know, spreading COVID around back then, so terrible. Okay, so didn't go to Italy. Then, you know, years go by, and now I finally get to Italy, and that is indeed where I got COVID. C'est la vie. All right, let's see. I don't have any tweezers up here. I've been robbed. Brad stole my... Did you steal my black tweezers?
Brad went to lunch.
Brad went to lunch. I see. Here's some black tweezers over here. All right. Okay. Let's disconnect these guys and see. Sometimes when there's a lot of water, the connections themselves are like the connector comes off instead of the thing plugged into the connector. But so far, it looks not too bad. This might be an easy one. I'll be stunned. That'll be like super lucky if this ends up just being no big deal. This looks great. There is not a lot of like rampant water inside these connectors. Look at that little pretty rainbow. A little bit of an oil slick. I wonder what's in that pond. We have a pond at my house that has some kind of like enormous carp that just chills there. Like it is like dolphin sized in this tiny little pond. And it's, you know, it's pretty terrifying. At all times you just go see that thing. What is this? Looks like dried rust. I love the pretty rainbow effect. All right, let's see if we can speed this up and get this out of here. We're gonna go ahead and take the board all the way out. Let's disconnect our screen fully. So we'll take off our Face ID Flex. There we go. This one, we're not gonna try to get away with, you know, maybe it's all right. We'll take this all the way out. Unless I can't get that screw out. That screw looks pretty rough, but we'll give it a try. Okay. All right. So yeah, sometimes when the phones are really wet, then that's actually good, because in salt water, for example, I don't think this was a saltwater pond, but with salt water, you can get away with it sometimes because it will look horrible, but the second a short circuit happens, then all of the energy from the battery just goes straight to ground, and it kind of protects the phone sometimes. But we'll see. I would guess with this amount of water and the time it was underwater, that there's going to be water that has seeped between the two layers of the logic board. Maybe not, but that would be most likely. We'll see. A lot of times in these 10S's, there's water down here at this little bottom board. A lot of times these connectors are really bad, but here it just looks like it's okay. Look at that. That looks good. We're gonna get lucky. It's gonna be an easy one, which I think that's really good. I think that every now and then an easy one is perfect for people at home, right? Because if you've got a phone that you've stuck in the water, you definitely want to just give it a chance that maybe a screen, a battery, a charge port, maybe that'll solve it. It doesn't hurt. You can always go to ifixit.com and they will have a guide that you can use to just kind of see how everything goes together. And why not take a shot at it? Whoa, this looks rough. Look at this particular screw. Let's kind of like zoom in on that. That's really bad. Now, a lot of times with the 10S, you'll get water here in this area that comes in through the edge of the phone, through the side, through a button or the SIM tray. And a lot of times it'll go right here and bother these components that are along the edge of the NAND. And that might be the case here. Wow, that's gonna be, whoa, it's just disintegrated. Well, that's gonna be the hardest thing about this one. Look at the screw. There's nothing, there's no metal there. The entire screw has just disintegrated. Look at that, it's completely gone. Which this screw is gonna go all the way through. All right, chat, how do I get this screw out? What do you think? Because in order to release the board and actually see what's going on, I'm probably gonna have to get that out. Let's see. What is your go-to? I mean, this may even be the absolute worst I've ever seen in terms of a screw that it's just completely corroded. There's not much of it left at all. That's pretty rough. All right, chat. How do we get this really rusted? Look at that. There's like nothing left. All right, what's your strategy, chat? I think that I might actually make sure that we need to take the board out for sure by plugging in some DC power, since everything else on the board looks largely okay. I'd like to clean it. I'd like to, split it apart, but I don't know. That looks hard. Drill the head. All right. Have you tried Mighty Putty? Yes, let's get some Mighty Putty. I think I did try to do something with Mighty Putty one time. I think I tried to fix a hole in a boat or something like that. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get the hand cam to work. Is there any big serious danger in plugging electricity into this as far as we can see right now? I think the answer is no. Nothing as far as board components is really telling me that this board absolutely has to come out. So we might just make sure that it does before we go to town on that screw. All right, let's see. Hand cam, where are you at? Let's see, hand cam. All right, here's the hand cam. We'll move this away. Okay, so we're gonna focus that up. All right, let's grab our DC power together and see if we can see this at the same time. I'll plug it in. There we go, DC power. That should be same as what I'm seeing down here. All right, I gotta locate the squid. I will say that these new squids, the eye boots, these are the ones that we now are selling. Some of you guys that came for class in the last couple of months, there was a time where I was like, there's no good squids. I refuse to sell any squids. They're all terrible and they're getting worse. I think that these are not my favorite. I wish they would go back to the old style, but these are acceptable at least. They're no longer doing the 13 and the 12, like multiple different devices on one where you have to flip it around and use it in different orientations. All right, let's see what happens when we plug in. I think I will have to get some glasses. Plug it in. Okay, and we see a little tiny 30 milliamp leak, 30 milliamp leak is normally something that I would like to clear before asking the phone to boot up, but let's just see what happens. Let me overlay a charge port. I'm gonna just see if it can deal with that. Sometimes they can. It usually means that there is, I'm gonna disconnect my DC power so that I can plug in a screen and a charge port. Let's just make sure that we have to take this board out at all. All right. Sometimes the PMU can kind of deal with a little bit of an unstable main power rail, although I'd really rather fix that first. So let's just see what it does. All right, let's plug this in. I think the hardest thing about repair, the hardest thing about data recovery at age now 49, I also turned 49, is connecting the damn connectors. Isn't that sad? Let's see, that's the way life is. All right. Okay, I'm ready to connect back here. Dare we prompt this thing to boot with its 30 milliamp short to ground? Prompt, 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 and take it out. And look at that. It is telling us, it's lying to us. It's telling us that it doesn't have enough voltage on the battery to boot, but we can see right now, oh, it's right. It's at 3.1. This is going to be easy. So awesome. The hardest thing, in addition to connectors, is taking that screw out. All right, here we go. 4.1 volts. All right, that's enough juice. It's not lying to us. It really was 3.19. I don't know who set it on 3.19. Sometimes, though, it can be a symptom of a Tigris fault when you're giving it like regular 4 volts and it tells you that it needs to be plugged in. But in this case, everything's fine. Boot up. It's gonna work. This is great. All right, everyone should buy an iPhone XS. An iPhone XS. What if his screen is okay? Could that even remotely be possible? Look how bad that is. iPhone XS is indestructible. This phone has been in a pond. We didn't do anything to it other than, does it have touch? It has touch. Oh my God. We didn't do anything to it. He even knows the passcode. This is unbelievable. This is an amazing, amazing sort of welcome back repair. Let me plug it in and actually see if I can extract data. Battery message, of course. Face ID is unplugged, of course. Trust. Sweet. All right. So easy, so great. All right, let me go ahead and extract the data. That is something that I think the process of extracting the data is something that I don't know that we've ever really talked about on YouTube, because usually I hand it off. But on a phone like this, where we know it has an active leak to ground on the battery or the main power rail, and it's, you know, so wet in the housing, so rusted, it's total luck that the board itself is okay. So I'm worried that that might change. Oh my God, these pictures are so cute of this baby. I'm not going to show you guys any data here, but it's super cute, and it's so crazy because, you know, this baby is probably, you know, going to kindergarten by now. All right, so I'm gonna start taking these off. Let's see if we have any problem here. I'm gonna try a different way. All right, phone went to sleep. This guy's gonna be thrilled, man. Who would have thought that you can drop your phone and then, you know, like I've had families before that have had to like find a phone. Like once it goes in the water, it's really hard to actually get it, you know, like where exactly is it? So you can get down there with a clam rake and try to go to town trying to find it. And, you know, some families like just never find it because they don't exactly know where it is. Look at this, 1,000 pictures of camera roll, super cute babies and dads. This is super, super cute. This guy's gonna be thrilled. All right, once we get these pictures though, it would be fun to just kind of see where that 30 milliamp leak is, but this is awesome. So how do you actually get the photos off? So let's say this is your phone and you're doing DIY repair, because you don't need to do anything fancy to get your phone to get your pictures off. All you need to do is to use some screwdrivers, an iFixit guide, and to have known good parts. So if you've got an iPhone XS screen, a battery, a dock, then you can recover data. So what's happening right now? Right now, the phone was on, recovering all those photos, and then it dropped off. Like we can see that right now, it totally cut off. So why did it do that? Why did it reboot? And the answer is because today's phones have to get a thumbs up from sensors that are all around the phone, specifically the battery. There is no battery plugged in here, right? I am booting this one on a DC power supply. This phone would likely boot if you gave it a fully charged battery. It's gonna be having a leak to ground, so it will drain a battery. Don't leave it plugged in. But a phone that was like this would be able to recover data with a battery, most likely. So let's boot it back up, because now we have a 3-minute window to get the photos off. And if we can't, then we're gonna have to do some work to actually go get a battery and get it to extract. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this again. What I like about the method of extracting data using 3U Tools, so 3U Tools, free software, everybody knows 3U Tools. You can plug a phone into 3U Tools and just type in the passcode, unlock the phone, and then navigate over to Photos, and then hit Camera Roll, Extract to your desktop. Even if the phone cuts off, like it's missing a sensor, you can boot it up again and it can pick up from where it left off. So that's what's really cool about 3U Tools extracting photos. There's lots of other ways to do that. And sometimes we find it's even faster within 3U Tools to not go to camera roll, extract photos, but go down to files. And then I think it's files or data, and find the DCIM folder and extract that way. So if you've got like 100 gigs of photos, it's gonna be a lot faster to do that. Another thing you can do to save time when you're actually pulling the data off the phone is to untoggle the setting in 3U Tools that asks, do you want me to convert the Apple HEIC files, the standard format, do you want me to convert that to JPEG? Most customers do want you to do that, but you can do that after you extract from the phone. So if you untoggle the setting, no, don't convert HEIC to JPEG. It'll make your extraction a lot faster as well. So if you want data other than photos and videos, then you're gonna have to get the phone to stay on for the full time that it takes to complete a backup. So the phone thinks of photos and videos as media, thinks of music as media. Everything else the phone considers data. And so in order to pull the data out of the phone, you have to first create a backup of the data and then parse that out of the backup with third-party software. And there's lots of different Chinese software that do that. So if your phone is wet, you've probably stumbled across the giant wall of suspicious software that claims that they can get data from anything. When a lot of that, what it really can do is pull data out of a backup. Of course, if you don't have a backup, they can't help you at all. And that's what most people figure out. All right, so did it get all the pictures yet? I'm not sure. So let's check in with chat to see if they have any other tips on how do you go about actually getting this, these photos off of this phone or other data. What do you like to do to recover data? So let's see. It makes no sense what she's doing right now. Just killing phone with a smile. I would disagree with that. Why? What we're doing is we're taking the data off the phone. So I'm not going to show you Mike's photos. That would not be cool. I'm sure Mike doesn't want the whole world to see his data. So what I'm doing is I have this phone connected to 3U Tools, like I just said. Click camera roll, click export, and I'm exporting that to a folder. And then I have 20 more photos left. 10, 3, 2, 1, done. All right, all of the photos and the videos are safely extracted off of this phone. All right, and in my opinion, that is the safest way to get these data because we looked at the phone. Is there any water on the logic board that we can see? No. Do we know that there's any type of board problem at all? We know that there is a very minor 30 milliamp leak. You could put a battery on a phone with a 30 milliamp leak, and if it were able to boot up, it would work just fine. It would just have a rapid battery drain. So I don't think that that's a risk to Mike's data, which is why I did it this way. All right, so there we go. Submerge phone into isopropanol. That's a terrible idea, and that is a great way to kill a phone because isopropanol does have water in it, and that's not a good idea at all. All right, disconnect front camera volume keys. Obviously, we've already disconnected everything, right? So of course we're going to disconnect parts. All right, bag of rice. Yes, very good. Okay. Does anybody else have any legitimate tips or tricks or favorite software that you might use to recover data from a phone here like Mike's? Let's see. Let's click over. Is there any other data that he is asking for? Photos and videos only. So Mike here is fully recovered. All right, so we've got the data. So now, for fun, let's go see if we can find out where that 30 milliamp leak is. So now we're just in the gravy category, just for fun. Let's see if we can actually clear the 30 milliamp short. Let's see if it's still there. So now that we've recovered the data, we're in the safe zone. let's see, what does it take to rip this board out? And what does it take to get rid of this? 40, which way? 40 milliamp short circuit. So 40 milliamp. Let's disconnect that. And for fun, let's just check with our multimeter to see, is that 40 milliamp short circuit actually on the main power rail or on the battery rail? So let's go find out. Let's go ahead and jump under the microscope. All right, my favorite place to measure the main power rail is here in the LCD connector. Let's spin this around. Let's see if we could zoom out like a little bit. All right, and let's see. Wake up my multimeter. I don't have my on-screen multimeter. All right, diode mode on main is 0.1. Full short would be 0, right? But it's not 0, it's 0.1. That's about 30% of the resistance that the main power rail should have. So there is a partial short. There's a leak to ground on the main power rail. Where is that? You know, that could be on the 10S. There are occasionally some damage up in here, which may possibly be the case in here. Let's kind of take a look. A couple of caps up here that don't like to get wet on the 10S. Let's see. But they look fine. So more likely our partial short is due to some corrosion probably between the layers right there. So in order to clear that, we're definitely gonna have to take the board out. But I feel a lot better now that the data is recovered, that any kind of like wrenching and pulling on this board in order to get this thing out is gonna not be that big of a deal. All right, let's see. How are we gonna get this out? All right, locate classes. All right, let's see. What would be the most fun way to rip this? How do I get that off? There we go. To rip this sucker out. Let's see. The SIM tray is already gone. And everything else is disconnected. You know what? On this one, let me try to take out the camera and see if I can kind of beat that thing off. Might not be possible. This looks like it's pretty corroded as well. All right. I could go get a drill, but I don't know where that is. That's gonna be back in Mark's station. Mark was here for the class. He just left. I just dropped him off at the airport. Hi, Mark. If you're on the plane watching iPad Rehab channel, I'm going to click off our DC power supply. He had the worst case scenario of getting through TSA like ever. He sent me a message that said that he had been randomly selected for, there we go, randomly selected for screening, and he had about 10 phones in a backpack to take back home. And they made him take out every single one of the 10 phones, and they had to swab every piece of it. That like just sounds like an absolute nightmare. So they had to, you know, do the like chemical swab thing. Is this a bomb thing? All right, let's see. Can we just rip this bracket right up? Can we just rip out what's left of the screw? I think we've got a Dremel, a bunch of different Dremels, but not really an actual drill. Let's see. Can we get that piece off, which would then let us just kind of manually turn this, kind of like that. I feel like I'm going to injure myself. This is going to be a time where I definitely am calling 911 and have ripped up my hand. This is definitely not the right tool for this job. But this board is bound for the trash can, so let's see. Can we... I almost got it to turn. Yeah, there we go. Hey Brad, check this out. Check out my really massively rusty screw. How would you go about getting this screw out? Oh yeah, it's happening.
Alcohol.
Alcohol? It's corroded. There's nothing in the center of it.
Oh, there's nothing to bite on?
Yeah, it's like, it was so rusty. It's like a fruit bowl now.
Do the same thing that you're doing.
Oh yeah. Whoa, look at that. It's like gone. Gone. Wow. Rip. Oh, that's crunchy. I'm really surprised that there was actually no short here from that guy. All right, but we'll see. Okay, now the board is safely out and we can go on a hunt to try and eradicate our 40 milliamp short. Why are we doing that? Just because we're curious. I want to know where that short was. Where do you think it is, chat? Do you think it is on the inside layer of these boards? Or do you think it's going to be just like under here? It looks like it could be wet sort of under here. Let's go ahead and look under here. But I still want to separate the layers because I just want to know what does it look like in there. So let's see. Hey Brad, guess what was wrong with my phone here that was 8 months underwater? 8 months in a pond, iPhone XS. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, that'd be easier.
Nothing. Nothing but that screw. That screw was the worst of it. Look at that. Even like looking underneath this little bracket. Beautiful. Totally fine under here. That's so funny. Yeah, that's so funny. All right. Ripped the head right off. It's so nasty. All right. Somebody thinks there's more than one shorts present. So I don't think so. I think this board is great and it's going to have very little wrong with it. All right, next step. Let's go ahead and separate the layers and see the beautiful clean inside. No fish food, no plankton, no algae. It's going to be a pristine, like Steve Jobs intended inside here. We're going to open this sucker up. All right, I got to get the right ones of these. I got to get my right brick. We did add some things to the iPad Rehab supply store lately. I should probably do a video on those things. But one of them was the solder sucker, which we used to say, you don't need a solder sucker, but lately we've been teaching the HDMI ports with that thing, and it's super fun. Everybody loves to blow out the solder with the solder sucker, and it makes them just super easy. All right, activate sunshine. So activate sunshine preheater, we are talking about this guy, right? So we've got, here's Mike's board, and we're gonna heat it up to, I don't know, put it on 170 or something for an iPhone XS. We're gonna heat it up. We're gonna look inside and see what does it look like in there. See where that 40 milliamp short is. All right, show us the A12 chip. Why is there no issue with the iPhone and you say there's a short? I don't understand. Well, I'll show you. We got a XS board that doesn't have a short around. Let's see. All right, well 10 is close enough. Okay. I got a 12 Pro Max here. I will show you. That's a good question. William Lynn wants to know, how come the phone boots if I'm saying there's a short in it? I think that's a good question. So let's do that because we have to wait for this to heat up. So I've got another board here. I've got an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So we'll just go with the 12 Pro Max so we don't need a 10. But thanks, Brad. All right, so here's 12 Pro Max. I'm going to take the same squid and I'm going to turn on, ding, the DC power supply. So there's our 4 volts. And now when we're going to put 4 volts into, where's my squid? Oh yeah, that's the dark side of the new the new squid is that you have to swap out these things. Grr. All right. Swapping out. Here's the 12. We're going to inject 4 volts right into this 12 Pro Max, just like we did. Oh, that's the 13. Where's the 12? All right, maybe I do need a 10 board because I don't have a 12 squid. I have 2 13 squids and no 12. That's crazy. Isn't that weird? Is this a 12?
Here's the 12 squid.
It's a 16. I can't quite reach it. Almost. All right, fine. One day Brad's gonna be on camera. But probably not today. All right, let me see. Is one of these a 12? Nope. Is this a 12? Nope. Squids everywhere. Is this a 12? Yay, 12. All right. 12 squid. So let's see what happens when we plug in a 12 into the 12 battery connector. All right, so look at that. I plugged into the 12 and look at the DC power right there. DC power says 4 volts going in, pressurizing the 12 Pro Max. It's filling up that main power rail and it's holding steady, no short to ground. We do not see any current. We do not see electrons moving. Electrons are just chilling under pressure, but they're not actually going anywhere because they don't have a path to ground because this phone has not been turned on. We haven't tried to turn it on. Now let's do the exact same thing. We're going to disconnect from here and let's see if we do the exact same thing here on Mike's phone, our 10S that we've been working on. Let's see what happens. We'll get the 10S squid. All right, now here's a challenge because this board is 120 degrees Celsius right now. Dare we try to stick it in there? All right, now look at that. When we plug it in, now we see current moving, right? Current moving. Let's plug it in. Right now we have 0.9 amps, which is another way to say 90 milliamps. So 90 milliamps. Electrons are moving, they're going to ground, they're racing to ground through some kind of a pinhole. And that's what we call a partial short. Look, now it's kind of flickering around a little bit. And that's because as this board's heating up, it's changing the resistance. I'm going to disconnect this and I'm going to separate our layers. Does that make sense, William? That was a good question. Why are we saying there's a short? Because it has a short. It has an inappropriate path for electrons to go to ground. But it's really tiny. It's only 30, 90, little couple of milliamps. That's a very small leak. So think of a balloon that has a pinhole in it. You know, can you pressurize it? Yeah. Is it like something you want to use all day, every day? No. Can you live with it long enough to recover data? In this case, yes. All right, now let's go on. We're going to separate the layers. So we are going to turn off our DC power. And let's rip this off. There we go. Desoldered the 2 halves of the board. And we'll turn off our preheater. And now let's take a look and see. Is it all corroded inside those, or is it still perfectly, beautifully clean? Back to the microscope. Let's find out. All right, let's see. Okay, so William says he understands. Perfect. And let's look under here. All right, so we're looking on the inside layer of the bottom board, and here's the inside of the top board. So we have separated, we've pulled these apart, so now we can look inside. This black stuff is all normal looking thermal paste, and so far so good. No water, nothing abnormal. Even this, like, oh, doesn't it look burned up? Nope, it just has normal looking waterproofing overfill thermal paste. Even like that place where the really rusty screw was right there. It's just got a little bit of thermal paste goop on it, but it's totally fine. All right, now let's look out here. Oh, there's a little hint. Look at that. It's just so minor. Water did get in here. Check it out. This is water damage right here. Look, you got a tiny little solder ball right there. Look at this dude. That guy got wet. Just like we said that we kind of suspected water down here in the corner. And then look right here. You got 1 drop of plankton water. Look at this. Little chlorophyll up in here. Look at that. That is enough to sequence the genome of, and you're going to come up with an exact match to some kind of critter that lives in Mike's pond, right? Single drop of water. Look at that. 1 drop of water landed, bloop, right on top of this guy. And we had a little bit of water that landed right here on that guy. Very minor. All right, now let's look at the top board. The top board is where the data is. We've already recovered the data if you're just joining us, so we're just kind of messing around. We're curious, just for fun, where was this tiny little 30 milliamp short to ground? All right, thermal paste, and has little flecks of solder in it, and that's likely from the sort of a splash of solder from lifting the boards apart from each other. Looking around here, everything looks fine. Oh, there's a matching drop of pond water. Look at that single drop of pond water right there. Look at that. That is pretty cool. All right, toilet water. I'm still green. All right. Let's see. There we go. Well, I can see. Look at that. Pond water goop. And then this little structure. This is a fun one. I actually have another idea for a video. I was going to do one called iPhone cheat codes. iPhone data recovery or motherboard repair cheat codes. And one of the cheat codes is this little structure. So this is a little Easter egg. I think I am going to do that cheat code video. And in the cheat code video, I'm going to remind you guys about this little structure. See this thing? A little bit hard to see. Let's see if we could get some more light on it and zoom in a little bit on an angle. Let's look at it, maybe up this way. All right, see there's a little disc right there. I'm touching it, that guy. See how we've got all of these pads, and that one has a little circle, a little disc right there. See it? And that is, a normal part of how these boards are. We're going to kind of push it off. That's just one of those spacers, and sometimes they can give you trouble. All right, so we have water right here on this coil, and possibly a molecule of it is under that chip there. And then look over here, and right at the end, this is probably where our partial short is, perhaps. A little bit of corrosion on this coil. Coils can't go short, but the connection between this cap and the neighbors kind of all gooped together. Maybe under here, one of these guys. All right, let's do this. This will be fun. Do you think that we can even find the source of such a tiny little, barely anything short to ground? A 30 milliamp short. This is the kind of thing where in the old days where our main tool was freeze spray and your face, it was mighty hard to find 30 milliamp shorts because they're not really gonna get hot, right? They're not gonna feel hot. But can a thermal camera actually pick it up? So let's see. I bet it can. So let's see if we can actually find the legit cause of the short with the thermal camera, just for fun, because I still have about 20 minutes before I have to pick up a kit. All right, so let's see. Impressively clean for something that's been underwater for 8 months. Yes, it sure is, which means this is an ad, free ad for Apple. The best phone there is, the iPhone XS. Go buy an iPhone XS today because you too can jump in a pond to save your child. Phone goes in the pond. A year goes by and there's nothing wrong with the board. That is some waterproofing. Good job. Although I don't recommend that you actually try to jump in a pond. Don't swim with your pond. This guy's lucky, right? But it is pretty impressive. I'll tell you that. Okay, and I really do love the iPhone 10 and 10s over the newer phones. The newer phones are just heavy. I miss my little iPhone 10. All right, let's see which side this 30 milliamp short is even on. So let's check. So we've got a possibility here. Our 30 milliamp short is maybe on the top board, or it's maybe on the bottom board, because we saw this like super mild, super minor little drop of water, right? When we split the board under the microscope, we saw wet right here at the end and a little green guy there. And then we saw a matching drop of water on the bottom board. A little bit of wet at the end and a green drop right there. Boop, 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 boop. And that's the only thing that got wet. But what side actually caused the little hole in the balloon so that we have a 30 milliamp leak to ground? So let's find out. Let's see, just for fun. Do we still have our 30 milliamp leak now if we just attach our DC power to just the top board only? Oh, look at that. It's way worse. So heating it up, poking around like I did, actually made the short kind of declare itself. So now it is a full short. Aren't we glad that we recovered Mike's data before we made it worse in trying to separate it? All right, let's get the multimeter out and see. If we indeed made it worse just by poking around, heating the board up to separate it, then that means our resistance to ground measurement, or diode mode, is going to be worse. It was 0.1. Has it gone even lower? Let's find out. So let's go back to this top board and say, what is the resistance to ground on the main power rail now? Last time we checked, when we recovered the data, it was 0.1, and now 0.000, full short to ground, full short to ground. So what do you think happened? How did we go from a tiny little pinhole, something barely touching ground? Is it touching ground? Not really, a little bit. It can still hold pressure. You know, it's kind of like a balloon with a pinhole in it. And then we did stuff, which was really, we heated it up, separated it, poked around a little bit. And now there is a full short to ground. There is a full hole in the balloon. It can't hold any pressure at all. All of the electricity goes straight to ground. Why is that? Well, probably, you know, something around here, the heating up kind of made something underneath, you know, the little bit of water went under this chip and it actually touched two things together as things heat and contract. A little bit of salt crud starts to connect. I don't know. Well, we don't get to see whether or not the thermal camera can find the tiny little 30 milliamp short. It almost certainly would be able to. So instead, we'll have to just settle for, well, where was it? All right, so let's see, where was it? Get rid of this, and let's get our hand cam, and let's see if we can find anything. All right, the gym invasion is here. A lot of gyms. All right, 2 drops of water actually got in between the PCB sandwich. Well, I would have thought it would be more, to be honest, because, you know, there's, like, if you look at it, the sandwich is made of, like, little hamburgers of solderers that's pressed down, and there's, like, totally a gap in there. Like, you could blow air into it. So it's really a question of pressure, right? So if you take something that's, like, hot and you throw it in something that's cold, you know, if you have a big pressure change, then you'll see water kind of driven into the board. But if it's kind of all room temperature, so there's not a big pressure difference, you know, so that's sort of based on the time of year, right? If the coldness of the water, the hotness of the air, you know, they kind of are close to each other, then water just kind of sits and it doesn't go in because it doesn't have that temperature difference. All right, let's just go on a hunt here. We know for sure that our short is on the top board. So let's see, where was it? All right, so I'm gonna plug in, actually I'll put back our DC power, I guess. Why not? Everybody wants to see some DC power. Capillary action. Capillary action, yeah, that's a good description. Mostly, I think about capillary action in plants, but I think capillary action might be the right term. All right, now this hit something, so what did I do over here? I don't know which one of these. Nope, that, nope, nope, oh no. Uh-oh, messed up this DC power. And I'm too blind to tell what's going on with it. Oh, Brad, I'm in trouble. I lost it. I don't know which one of these it's really supposed to be on. I don't know what it hit. Oh, is it that? Let me take off that. Let's go to channel 2, because channel 2 I can still see. All right, channel 2, 4 volts. Okay, let's turn the voltage down. Timer is empty. Timer? I don't need no timer. All right. Well, we might as well set our current limit at 3. Fine. Okay, here we go. 4 volts. We're going to turn it down and just use like 1 volt. We could put 4 volts in there. It just might be hard to see what's the cause of our short because our squid wire is going to get hot at 4 volts. All right, let's see. Let's plug in 1 volt. All right, and connect the circuit. No short. Did we cure our short just by once again messing around with it? All right, we'll have to go back and give it more volts. All right, let's go back to 4. Maybe it has cooled down and gone back to being a pinhole. Cured. No short at all. There's nothing wrong with this phone. All right, let's see. All right, something about the line 1 is freaking out. I don't know what that is though. All right. Oh, I know. It's not plugged into 2. Okay. Now I got to go back to 1 volt. Such a noob. All right. Here we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Oh, I don't know what it's doing on the display. Oh, I don't know how to get it to display channel 2. Well, that's kind of cool. I kind of like channel 1. I think I'm going to go back to it. Look, Brad, it has turned itself into a graph. All right, we're going back. We're going to go back to channel 1. All right, let's see. Channel 1. Channel 1 has our short. Look at that. There's our short. Wow, I don't know how to get this to be a graph or not a graph, but look at that. We are injecting, according to this, our 4 volts, and we see that we're leaking to ground. Look at that. You can see it right there. 2 amps, 2 amps, 2 amps, 2 amps, 2 amps, 2 amps to ground. All right, so be it. I should probably read the manual on this this type of DC power supply. It's not the one I normally use. I use this one that I can see. But when I'm trying to stream, this one has a weird interface that will interface with my computer so that you guys can see DC power. That's pretty cool. I didn't know it could do that. I kind of like it like that. That's pretty cool. I wish I could remember how to make it do that. And I also wish, I wish there was a way to get it to like show the number as well. All right, what are we doing now? We are going to look with the iPad Rehab macro lens on the iPad Rehab Seek Compact Pro, which you can find at iPadRehab.com. Click Supply Store, and you can see all of the stuff that we use, except for this DC power supply, because this DC power supply is wacky. All right, look at that. Can you see it? Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Super cute. Look, and it's totally where I called that it would be. All right, let's zoom in. So we're looking on the top board right out here at the very edge. Now for this one, since we've already recovered the data and we can have fun, dare we try and knock off this cap? Do you see that? Let's focus. Look at that right there. Do you see it? Doot, 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 doot. Here, I'll toggle this. I'm going to disconnect our DC power. See how it cools down? And I'm going to bring it back. Ding, ding. It's me. It's me. I'm a bad capacitor. Right? I betcha that when we knock off that bad capacitor, that's not going to cure our short. I bet it's going to just go back to being the mild 30 milliamp short. So maybe we'll still get to try to find it. All right, but this is fun because we can actually see the current going to ground on our graph. Oh, it had to start over on our graph. So let's try and leave that graph up there. And while we have electricity going through the board, never do this at home, kids. Let's try and knock it off, like under power. Why? Because this is already recovered. And Mike would surely love, in the name of science, for us to learn a little bit from his. What do you think, chat? Should we knock it off? Greetings from Bulgaria. All right. I place bets on a microphone, whiny little fellas. Can you recover image from dead Android phone? Yes, of course. Go to iPadRehab.com and click Get Started. And then we'll tell you exactly how to send it to us. All right. And then we'll put yours on YouTube one day. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see? I want to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing. Ooh, this board is getting hot. All right, while we have, whoa, look at that guy. Look at this guy. Oh, we're on the wrong camera. Better not. Better get straight. Ding. All right, here's our guy. Do you see our guy? He is so ugly. All right, so the one that's short is the uglier of the two that are between the coil, right? So 2 coils, and then we got 2 massively ugly dudes. This guy, I think, is actually hot enough, now that it's a full short, that we could see it if it will boil alcohol. Yeah, for sure. See him right there on the edge. Look at that. See him boiling and bubbling away? All right, now we can see our live short to ground. We can see that current going nuts. Dare we knock this thing off under power just to kind of see it disappear in real time? Sure, why not? Zzz. All right, that's gonna be a little bit hard. All right, let's try to do it. All right. Right here. Never, ever, ever do this at home. All right, did our short go away? Not yet. He's still connected. Ah. Did our short go away? Yes, look at that. Look, our short is completely gone. It went away because this guy was a wire and now it has been removed. In fact, our short went all the way down to 0. So I guess he was the 30 milliamp short that finally broke bad and went full wire to ground. There he is, little bastard. All right. And he just ran off. Nope, come back here. You still have to face trial. All right, there he is. Hey, buddy. He's still got to stand trial. Don't you think we should? All right, let's ask him the question. Are you indeed a full-on wire to ground? Let's find out. With the multimeter, are you a wire to ground? Yes, I am. I admit it. That's right. Caught you. And now the ultimate punishment. We're gonna break you right in half. Full execution. Well, that's harder to do than I thought. All right. Stay of execution. All right, what should we do with him, Brad? Let's put him in a little jar to set him as an example to the other capacitors that might feel like being wires. We'll put him on, we'll make him a little jail. We'll rig him up. We'll put him in the eye of iPad Rehab. There he is right there. All right, we'll make him a little noose Brad, do you want to make a little baby noose? He's like, no, I want you to be done with this stream. That's what I want. Okay, so now look at that. Beautiful, beautiful 0 amps of current, even though we've got our DC power still connected and there's nothing wrong. And just for the fun, exciting conclusion, let's go ahead and see, for everybody that didn't get to see poor Mike's phone come alive, that now it's even better than before with now no short to ground, right? You didn't point out his rights to plead the fifth. I did not. In this land, capacitors do not have, their rights are not recognized. Right, so because this is a Qualcomm iPhone XS, that means, I don't think we're gonna take a dare on Mike's actual, should we try to see if Mike's screen will light up? Let's do that, our final step. There's no way, there's 0% chance. Will Mike's decrepit, been underwater for 8 months screen actually light up? I don't think so, but we'll find out. Let's grab our charge port. Where's my tester charge port? Here we go. Tester charge port coming in. Can't believe that Mike's phone got off with 8 months underwater with like beautiful board with just like the slightest bit of water damage in those layers. And I really like that because it's always a hard call to know if you've got like kind of a really tiny milliamp short. I like to actually go after them rather than asking the board to try to boot on, you know, a decrepit main power rail that's leaking to ground. I don't like to ask it to do that. But in this case, it looks like it was the right call. All right. Now, we see our 4 volts going in, no current. Now let's prompt it to boot. And I don't think we're gonna see anything on the screen because I think this screen is completely rusted out and dead. Let's go hand cam. Now look at this, this screen is, you know, no chance of this screen. If this screen works, I will eat that capacitor. All right, no chance. Prompt to boot. Now, how do we know that we're actually prompting it to boot? Because, oh God. Brad, I need you to come eat a capacitor. His screen works, man. Look at this. This rusted out, I just finished saying there's no chance.
So are you eating the capacitor? You still got touch.
I'm not gonna have touch because I don't even have a bottom board. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Oh, it came. I cannot believe that. I can't believe that. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen, and these screens die if you look at them wrong. What the hell? I cannot believe that Mike's screen has full-on display. And now I'm going to have to eat that capacitor. Chat, should I eat that capacitor? I do like to be, you forgot to smack it real good with a hammer before making that claim. Well, you know, that would be wrong. Wow, more broken than me, it's still somewhat functional. Look at that! Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, now I kind of feel like fixing this phone, like, yeah. I mean, the charge port. I'm gonna retire from the game of trying to predict what parts are bad by their amount of rust in them. All we know for sure is that the screw was bad, and ultimately that cap. But other than that, everything was fine. All right, Mike is a lucky bee. This guy says it has a plastic peel. That's why. Are you serious? You think this plastic piece of, well, it doesn't even have anything on it. That's peeled off. That's just nothing. Look at that. There is nothing on this screen. It's flat. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's from water in there. Let's see. I can't believe it. All right, I'm gonna end this stream I'm a woman of my word. I'm gonna eat the bad cap. I said I was gonna do it. I will see it. Open your mouth. I will do it. I cannot tell a lie. I'm a very trustworthy soul. That is for sure. All right, here it is. I don't really think it's going to be that bad for me, right? It's just a little bit of. There
goes the right to repair.
There goes the right to repair. There goes the right to repair. Yeah. All right. We're going to do it. Here we go. Down the hatch. Bon appetit. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm.
Salmon or bass?
Mmm. Mmm. There we go. And I hope you all learned something. Don't make predictions on live streams. I'll see you next time.